Bonjour, I am Mrs. P.T. Anbuhanadora, Associate Professor of French, Holy Cross College in Nagarkoil. Today, I am going to teach you adjectives in French. So, what are adjectives? Adjective is a word that describes or modifies a noun or pronoun. It tells us more about a person, place, things, animals by giving details like color, size, shape, character, etc. In French, adjectives agrees with the noun it follows. For example, we have gender agreement and number agreement. First, let us see the gender agreement. What is a gender agreement? It is between masculine and feminine. We have a general rule. Most of the feminine adjectives are formed by adding E to the masculine form. So if the noun is masculine, you have to use only the masculine adjective. If the noun is feminine, you have to use the feminine adjective. See, for example, it is given un livre intéressant. The next example, it is given une histoire intéressante. Here, intéressant is taking one E. So that is why we say that the feminine adjectives are formed by adding E to the masculine. Okay. Then next one, it is number agreement. That is singular and plural. So here also we have a general rule. The plural adjectives are formed by adding S to the singular. Example, un garçon intelligent. Next one, des garçons intelligents. First one is singular. Second one is a plural. That is why for UN, the plural form is DES. Then the garçon, I told you, most of the adjectives and the nouns, it takes S to make it into plural. So here garçon, there it is only garçon. Here we are adding one S to the garçon to make it a plural. Then intelligent, it takes S. Then there are 4 forms of agreement. Every French adjective has up to 4 forms depending on the gender and the number of the noun it's modified. For example, here, masculine singular, it is given, un homme grand. When you convert into feminine, we say une femme grande. Here, man is, homme is man, it is masculine. When you write it into feminine, we don't say man, isn't it? So, femme, it is a lady, grande. Then masculine plural. Since the previous one is un homme grand, A will be converted into DES, then homme will take an S, then grand will take an S. And here, DES, then femme will take an S, then grand will take an S. Then adjectives ending in E. There is no change in feminine. For example, un ami timide. See, timide, it is same in masculine as well as feminine. You need not add one more E here. Masculine also TIMIDE, feminine also TIMIDE. So this rule, adjectives ending in E, there is no change in feminine. Then special masculine plural form. So some adjectives ending follow irregular plural patterns in the masculine. For example, when it ends in AL, remove AL and add AUX. Un jour spécial, that is, when you convert it into plural, A will become DES and sure will take an S, and special it ends in AL. So remove AL, add AUX. Then like that, when the when the adjective ends in EAU, it takes X in plural. For example, ambo shato. So here we are writing only DE. There is a rule. When you have UN, UNE, when you change it into plural, it will not take DES. It will take only DE before an adjective. That is why there is no DES. It is only DE. Then bo will takes one X. It is ending in AU. Even noun also, it takes the same rule only. Shato, AU, so the X we have. Then next one, EUX. When the adjective ending in EUX, there is no change in feminine. Okay, you need not add anything. Then we have irregular adjectives. So these three adjectives are fully irregular forms. So that must be memorized. For example, bow. The masculine singular form is BEAU. Feminine is BELLE. The masculine plural is BEAUX. The feminine plural is BELLES. Like that, you have it for nouveau. Nouveau is new. Then wear. Wear also takes. Then adjectives are adjective of placement. See, there is a rule. Small adjectives are placed before the noun, and big adjectives, so that is a longer adjectives, are placed after the noun. Then adjectives of color, shape, and nationality, it is placed after the noun. See, here, the second one, petit enfant. Petit is a small adjective. It is placed before the noun. Une belle maison. Belle is a small adjective. That's why it is placed before the noun. Then, see on the top, you have une maison blanche. That is a color. I told you adjectives of color comes after the noun. Then, un livre intéressant. Intéressant is a long adjective. That is why it is coming after the noun. So regarding the place of the adjective, once again I tell you, short adjectives are placed before the noun and long adjectives are placed after the noun. Then adjectives of color, shape, and nationality comes after the noun. Then for the practice, I have given some exercises. One sentence. For example, in gender agreement, just I have given unifi antharasa. So the answer unifi is feminine, so you have to add one E. Then number agreement also I have given. They leave difficile. Difficile means difficult. So since it is a plural, we are adding one yes. Then irregular agreement also I have given. Now the takeaway for today is adjective always agree in number and gender. That you all know. Number is masculine, feminine. Gender is masculine, feminine. Number is singular or plural. Then standard rule for the masculine adjective, to make it into feminine, we add E. Then you also have irregular formation, and to make a singular adjective into plural, we also add yes. Thank you.